Surprise, surprise, these stars, she says, as I pause. No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you guys never liked another one of my poems ever again, I would still feel very compelled to write. You know what I mean?
We ain't shit though.
But at the end of the day,
I'm fucking around.
at the end of the day, like, who is shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about it, like, who's like Grammys, Oscars, all these things. It's based on opinion. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, be yourself and value your own opinion.
Don't get coronavirus in your heart.
Let's do it.
It's the base. LOSO__G.
Deacon, the engineer.
This is Gav.
Great, the spoken gent. Look at how modest these dope ass guests are, son. The one, the only, the best. He speaks lovely whispers, lovely words in everybody's ears, and he's like the Pied Piper of like spoken word, bro. He's a gentleman and he's nasty at spoken word. He is a spoken gent.
What an intro.
What an intro.
Nah, yo, he's one of our day ones, bro. He's been supporting us since back in the day, son. We gotta
Since
show
the 80s,
love,
bro.
Since the 80s? Since the Warriors?
Yo, since Rick James is the shit.
And he's been killing it on the poetry circuit right now. So I just wanted to become famous so that everybody starts looking for his interviews. And we got the inside scoop, bro. We got the
inside.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. What have you been up to?
So since we spoke last, what I've been up to, I have been writing my own book. I have been published twice.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, I've been published in last year I was published in this book.
Okay.
It's United Volume, right?
Yeah, it's an anthology put together by this group called called Beautiful Minds United.
Okay.
They used to have a poetry open mic every Monday in the Bronx. But due to COVID. So they, sent, this is from last year. Can you see it?
Okay.
yeah.
This is volume red, and then I got chosen to be in this one, volume honey.
Woo!
Yeah. So I've been published twice. Working on a third publishing. What else? I'm not sure I told you guys this last time, but I had wrote a book, small book, for my classmates, my MBA classmates.
A family affair.
Yeah, a family affair. So it's pretty much it's a book of poetry for like 25 plus poems, like one for each of my classmates. So it's about 30 poems, about one for each of my classmates, and I just talk about each poem is about a particular person, whether it's like a conversation we had, an experience we shared, something about their personality. And then there's a few in here about our trip to South Africa. So I graduated with my MBA last year, 2019. So I wrote, it was like a class gift to them on our last class, 2019.
Oh,
everyone was crying. People was like, emotional. So it was pretty cool.
That's dope, man.
And so on what I'm working on now, like I said, my book, the title of my book is Because Brown Boys from Queens Are Kings. So it's like Queens, the borough, Queens, our moms. And pretty much that's just coming up.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yo, bro, we're gonna look so fucking stupid on this.
Yeah. So pretty much that's like a coming of age story about myself and people I grew up with, ranging from everything from school, fatherhood, like my relationship with my dad, my friends becoming fathers, police brutality, sex, lust, love. So it's coming together pretty well. It's coming together pretty well.
It sounds fire.
And then recently, I applied for this retreat. It's like a poetry retreat.
Okay.
Had it not been for COVID, you apply for this retreat and you submit your work blindly, and a bunch of like really really well known poets, people who have like on IG have like, I don't know, 50,000, 60,000 followers. Like people, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Jasmine Mans.
It sounds familiar. I would have to feel
She's
for
a really dope poet. So these poets are on her level, kind of like Jasmine Man's like one of the famous spoken word artists of our like time right now. So like on her level. So they have like different, poets who they have different workshops. So people who help you to make your writing better, people who help you to get your performances better. So I've applied for that. So I'm just waiting to hear back to see if I got it. That'd be dope. And today I was asked by a friend to lead a poetry workshop for some kids, for some middle schoolers in Brownsville. So
that's dope, man.
Yeah, looking forward to that because I always like mentoring and like working with kids, so that should be fun. So yeah, so that's pretty much what's happening with me as far as like poetry goes.
That's fine.
Oh, there's more?
No, that's it.
Oh, like because you're like as far as poetry goes, I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
no,
this guy's
my life
day
is
trading
boring.
too?
No, the rest of my life is boring. The rest of my life-
That's funny. One time, me and Gavin led this workshop with middle schoolers, and he told me my idea was trash because I had him write poetry.
I don't remember that.
You remember that?
He said,
Yeah,
Sounds accurate.
I don't remember that.
yeah, his poems are forgettable. That's why.
You've been killing it, bro. Damn. What's I guess what's been keeping you focused? Is it just COVID?
Just COVID. Well, not just COVID. Just like a need to just want to get some emotion out. I've been trying to write this book, man. I don't know, man. Like 4 years now. So I kind of just started it, and then like with business school, it was like kind of like a dub for like 2 years, But what I realized is that a lot of the stuff that I just wrote for fun is kind of like what I'm putting in there now, and I have more than enough. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just about going through it and putting the different chapters together and just figuring out, what I want to leave in, what I want to take out, and what I need to add that's missing. So it's the process is coming together really dope. Sometimes you do something and you don't realize. Okay, like sometimes you have a goal in mind, but you don't realize like the basic exercises you're doing every day to like prepare you for that goal is you in the process of doing that goal, or is you in the process of fulfilling that goal. Because I started writing all these short poems, I didn't realize that I was just doing it literally, just to keep my brain, I guess, like thinking poetry, like thinking poetic. Yeah. And then I turn back and look like, oh snap, like these fit perfectly in certain chapters, So I think that's like the best feeling when you're doing something just for the love, and then you realize, oh wow, this is like something big.
Do you write on pad or do you type it up?
It's on my phone. It's all on my phone. Yeah.
I have a question, and it is something I've always thought about. Like, what's the criteria of like a good spoken word artist? Like, what makes a good spoken word artist? Is it the delivery? Is it the content? Is it
all of that? It's delivery. It's Well, first you got to write something that's like worth hearing, And that's not to say that, that's not to say that
I can't write. It's cool. You could just
that's not to say that people write things that aren't worth hearing. But I think first the content, you know what I'm saying? Your content, your delivery, the pace, your tone. If you're using your hands, like there's so many aspects that go into spoken word. And not all spoken word has to be memorized. Some people do spoken word and they read it right off a paper, read it right off their phone. You wanna, when you're doing, you definitely want to convey some type of emotion. That the audience or the crowd or the reader can wow, I feel that. Oh, it's some type of feeling of relating. You definitely want to have the audience to like feel what you're saying. But yeah, although there's so many different aspects that take up that come into play, which is why I really want to get a part of that retreat so that they can help me out with my performances. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But the first is just writing a dope poem.
Mm-hmm. What do you think are some of the stronger qualities of your poetry? Do you think it's like your content?
Definitely the writing. I feel like I'm definitely a good writer. I think I'm definitely a strong writer. And during quarantine, I just had time. I just had a lot of time to like read certain books on
Mhm.
how to get better, on how to use more metaphors, on how to use more like, how to use more visual writing.
Mhm.
When you're writing something, you definitely want it to be like you definitely want the reader to feel it, see it. You want to be more than just hearing. So I think all those aspects make a good spoken word, good spoken word poem. And a lot of it depends on your audience. You know what I'm saying? Like if I do like a Black Lives Matter piece in a room full of Black and brown people, it's gonna get a different response than if I'm in a room full of like Trump supporters.
Mm.
So there's so many different factors that play into what's considered a good piece. At the end of the day, it's all just opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not saying you wouldn't write for no Trump supporters though. You wouldn't.
No.
You would have performed for them.
No.
So is there a sort of, because I know you mentioned the name of someone who's like really up there in sort of the world of spoken word. How does one sort of like ascend? Like how does one get revered? Is it just by doing shows? Is it by writing? Is it like by doing activism along with it? Is it like different paths? Like what is that road like? Or is there like a typical sort of?
So many different paths, but the usual way that someone gets well known in the spoken poetry world, and it varies, because like I know people who are like well known in Queens, but that's because we all go to open mics together. So like in the poetry world, you have like open mics, which are just like events where people come together. You could do it's like a talent show. You could do poetry, play the guitar, sing, whatever. And it's just a bunch of artists, creatives. They come together and they just perform. Usually it's for like one. Usually it's for each other. Sometimes you bring a friend, etc. So I know people who are well known in New York City, who are well known from doing that. And then I know people who are slam poets. So a slam poetry is kind of like battle rap. It's just battle rap, but with poetry.
Yeah.
So in that's where you get like scored, and you go to different competitions and stuff like that. So it's like, for example, they have this poetry competition called WOW, Women of the World Poetry. So what that is, like a giant poetry slam from like literally women all over the world. And depending on how well you do and your score, you'll get ranked you get ranked in the world. So that's how someone would get like, that's like one path of like getting like well known. So for example, like one of the poets who's like doing this retreat, who's leading the performance section, her name is Ebony Stewart. She was at one point ranked #1 in the world because she won that Women of the World. Exactly. She won. So sometimes you look on a poet's page and it will say ranked #2. They're usually talking about like WOW. I'm not sure what the men's version is called. I'm assuming it's called Mao. That's what I'm assuming.
Now UFC. No, I don't know.
Yes, and then you have like so many different
the NBA.
And then within poetry, you have within those slam competitions, you have so many different kinds of competition. You have single pieces, you have group pieces, you have doubles. You got poems that have to be 1 minute long, poems that have to be 2 minutes long, poems that have to be 3 minutes long. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just talking because I'm just like in this circle, and I know a lot of people who do this. I haven't done this.
Yeah.
As of right now, I would love to slam one day. I would love to, but as of right now, I'm just more so focused on just being a better writer before I jump into that arena.
Okay, so it seems like there's different formats, kind of like like you have sort of like a base thing, like poetry is the base, and then you have like different sort of formats like doubles, things that nature. That's interesting, man.
Sure. At the end of the day, it's all about writing a really good piece.
Yeah. And who's judging? Is it like other poets, I'm guessing, who's judging this?
So usually at slams, so for the Women of the World, I'm not sure. For like those huge poetry slams, I'm not sure. But for usual poetry slams, like for example, like the Nuyorican Poets Cafe in the city, like usually it's the audience that judges.
Yeah.
So they'll just have like, like you have like the poets who are gonna slam that night, and then like before it starts, the master of ceremony would just be like, hey, who wants to be a judge? So that's what I'm saying. Like it's all about opinion, because
it's dope.
Because if someone's never heard slam poetry before, doesn't have an idea of like what the criteria is, you can either give someone a high score or a low score. So usually there's like 5 judges, and what they do is they'll drop the low score, drop the high score, and do an average of the 3 in the middle. So like if you're a person that doesn't know shit about, I don't know how this is supposed to sound, or I don't know what to expect, or I don't have your own criteria in your head. I've been to slams plenty of times where people like would give a score and get booed because they've everyone else in the room was like, yo, that was trash, or that was really good. Why'd you give such a low score? So it's all about opinion, man.
Always give a middle score.
Well,
always speak to the side. Always.
Yeah. But what's going on with you guys since I last spoke to you?
Oh, don't fucking flip the script, bro. We're in the
like I'm definitely curious, like to see like you guys brand growing and stuff like that. So you guys like sponsored yet by like Sprite or anything like that yet?
Oh no.
That's a shitty ass drink to be sponsored by.
Right.
Money talk.
Yeah, right. Like brought to you by fucking Red Bull, or like the Joe Rogan podcast where it's literally 8 minutes of straight sponsors before they say anything.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But I don't know. I think it's going pretty good. I mean, we have, I guess everyone has a different.
We got a new logo.
We have different. We're pretty consistent in the content that we do. I could say personally, the biggest benefit I have is chopping up with people like you and learning new things. And
that's Jose.
Hopefully, when this Rona shit fucking blows by, we can all start linking up again like we used to. That was awesome.
Get that chicken, bro. That chicken.
Yeah, man. And honestly, I like what we do. It's just about being consistent, and however it evolves, it is what it is. But I just like the base. Hey, the base, but like the base product of like just interviewing cool people, learning new things, and then just putting the information out there. I'm way more concerned about the quality of the guests that we have and the conversations that we have than anything else. If that's there, that's me personally, that's all I'm concerned about, and I think we're doing a good job about that. So
cool.
We expanded. We started another show, the Rundown. I don't know if you peeped. Just we're talking about like current events and things like that.
Yeah.
There's a few other things that we have in the pipeline, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Just because we like Ed Boy mentioned, we've been building the routine, so things are like on automatic. And if we anything else we add, we got to be mindful of like all our times, making sure that the quality's all there and shit like that. Like I've been pretty happy with how we've been evolving things. There's always I always want it to be better. But you know what? Like at least at this pace, I'm okay with the pace we're going with right now. But nah, man, just the viewers in general, just stay tuned. We're gonna keep growing, and we keep getting dope ass guests. All our guests are doing things just like you, man. So it's just like, we just keep building this little community that we're putting together, and hopefully, we could just keep putting each other on, things like that.
Sure. Dope. It's been a couple of years you guys been doing this, right?
3?
Nah, bro, I think it's 4 now.
Yeah.
4? What the fuck? In 2016, I was in middle school. What are you talking about, bro?
No, so because we hit this would be 101. This would be the 101 episode of just the base period. And I think I've been doing it. I've been on this for like a year this is gonna be like 2 years, no? Or like a year and a half that I've been on.
A year and change.
Yeah, we're doing it. And we're doing it for like 2 years before I jumped on.
Yeah.
Nah, not that long.
Was it? All right, then like 3 years. I thought it was like a year and a half too.
No, it was
no.
you're
Actually, you're right. I think it's 3 years.
I gotta check the first post.
I think it's 3 years.
Something like that.
Run.
Yeah, man. As long as I think it'll keep going as long as we stay committed, and as long as we like what we do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll always have something to talk about, and the quality has improved tremendously. Like I always said, the guests have become more of the quality of guests. Quality has become the priority for everything so far because we view it as a longevity thing, so that when people look back, it's going to be as good as it needs to be from now till whenever. So they can look back and say, "Oh, this episode's great." Blah blah blah. It stands. We're trying to stand the test of time more so than be hot and disappear.
Got you.
Which is what I was doing in the very beginning. It was hot, but nobody was coming back to listen for gems or anything like that. People were listening for the funny, and it'll be gone. So we were getting like 300, 200 people listening, laughing, never looking back, never promoting, never telling anybody about it. Literally, probably taking a joke that we said in the podcast and just making it their own, and never coming back and shit like that. So now it's more qualitative. So it's like a lot of the conversations are heavier. A lot of the conversations transcend. They're historical. There's going to be a lot of history in these conversations, and a lot of people are going to watch it or look back at it like, damn, they were saying that shit since then.
Nice.
So
I like that. But the vibe of the show though, it does feel seasoned. You know what I'm saying? It does feel like
seasoned.
He called you
like,
old.
are we talking like
seasoning, like
Old Bay, like
we're talking about
Lowry's, or
we're talking about like growth. We're talking about like y'all know what y'all doing. I'm not saying that y'all didn't know what y'all were doing before.
We kind of didn't. But yeah, no.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, now it feels more so.
We didn't.
Now it feels more so like there's direction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't know what to expect coming on here this time. Because last time I didn't know what to expect either. But
good chicken.
Yeah, it was good chicken. It was salad too. I think it was rice. I think I had rice. But
chicken and rice.
Yeah, that was rice. That was rice.
But yeah, but I could definitely feel more of a direction coming from you guys, like how you want it to be, how you want it to go. So that's good. Growth is good.
No more nonsense Kanye news. Fuck that complex bullshit. The base, baby. The base where you get legit news, yo. Fuck that shit, son.
Where we fact check before we get here. Sometimes.
Yo, Gavin, real quick. Yo, I have a very important question.
Yeah.
Are you riding with Biden?
I am.
You're riding. You sure? You riding with Biden? You sure? Okay.
I'm in a Honda with Kamala.
Hey. Okay.
Yo,
I'm still in that.
Question about
the claim I made it.
Going back to the spoken word stuff though, like ever since like COVID happened, right? Like I imagine like before a lot of the performances were clearly like done like in person, right? Like at a club or whatever. Yep. So like now that things are pretty much digital, right? Like how has that changed? Do you see like people just doing more frequent shows? Because I'd imagine, right, you don't have that. I actually, from mine, I'd imagine that maybe it would be easier in some respects and not, right? But maybe easier to just produce content, right? Because, you know, if you got your setup at home and shit like that, you could just, bam, spit a bunch of shit back to back. You don't got to worry about the commute, you know, and also just not having that audience there. I'm not sure how they're doing it now. Maybe it's just Zoom calls and stuff like that. But like, how does that feel, man? Like just that change in the way performances are now. And do you like it?
It's the same way we're doing things now. The same way that I'm having this interview with you guys now. Everyone's in their house or everyone's in their room. You know, a lot of the open mics that I go to, I don't go as much now because I'm just not feeling it. You know, there's something about being on a stage, being in a room with people. There's like an energy there. You know what I'm saying? There's something about there's a feeling you get where you're like, you know, where people are in front of you and people are snapping for you, clapping for you, or, you know, that was hot, that was fire. There's, you know what I'm saying? I really do miss that energy, you know? So when I do get on an open mic, it's just like this, you know, it's usually through like a, sometimes it's a Zoom, sometimes it's like an IG Live. A lot of people are doing that. They find it way easier to do IG Live than a Zoom. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just a different feel, man. The energy is just so different. People, you know, a lot of my friends, they, you know, the people that I know, they say that, hey, come on to our open mic, and I do go on sometimes, but it just doesn't feel the same. And you're right, people are putting out a lot of posts that I know they are putting out way more content because like you don't have to commute, you don't have to do a lot, so people are definitely putting out way more content now, and people are also writing more books because like now it's just like you have all the time, you have some more time now to actually write. So like for example, like in the last 3 months alone, I have like 3 friends who put out books. Like they were working on them, but with having to like commute to like different open mics and pitch your brand and stuff like that, it took away from time from writing your book. Now you're home, you know what I'm saying, you can write your book in your free time, in your spare time, or if your book was like 60% finished, because I know people whose book was like 40 to 50% finished, and now they finished it during this time. So like the energy is just so different. But the content, the people are still putting out a lot of content. People are putting out videos. I put out some videos, and yeah, just trying to. Poetry and spoken word definitely did not slow down at all. It definitely didn't slow down.
I feel like it jumped up. Like it's more.
Yeah,
Suffering breeds art, man.
Definitely more, and you
That's
definitely,
true.
you know what I'm saying. You definitely don't have to like book a venue anymore. You don't have to like.
Oh, that's a big obstacle, I imagine.
Yeah, your venue's like your living room now. You don't have to like, and people are saving money too because to go to an open mic and to perform, you usually got to pay. Even like $5 to $7, whatever. But
Then you got to buy drinks. That's like 16.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? So
Got to get a haircut. That's 20.
nah, you ain't gonna do all that. That's
COVID good.
it's just come as you are. Like ain't nobody there for. No one's there to like. No one cares how you look. No one cares how you dress. It's all about what you say. And for the most part, the environment is so dope. Like for example, the very last open mic that I did, I never forget it. The very last one that I did was in Harlem in February, and this girl, she was so nervous. Like she had a paper in front of her, her hands were like legit shaking, and this person, a stranger, we're all strangers, most of us are strangers in the room. This stranger like walked up to her and like held her paper for her in front of her, like kneeled in front of her, held the paper for her so she could just like look forward and just like read it, So stuff like that you miss, like the human point, like because some people get up at open mics and they've never performed before.
Humanity.
It's like a room, the humanity. It's like a
so
room.
like stage fright is like less now, you think? Since you're like at home, because I don't like me, for instance, right? Like I don't do any of that poetry stuff, right? But I think I'd be less scared doing some shit like right here, right now, as opposed to having to go and stand in front of a group of people. You know what I mean?
I'll unplug the Wi-Fi if I'm fucking up.
But for me, it's the opposite. Like I prefer to be in front of a group of people.
You're
like
professional though, bro.
Like I said, I feed off of that energy. I feed off of that, like, oh yeah, all of that. Like I feed, what I'm saying, like that, like feels so good. But like when you're just like doing it in like over live, and the cool thing about live is like while you're reading your piece, performing your piece, you can see the comments on the bottom, like oh, that was dope.
Yeah.
That was cool. But it just doesn't beat in person. And every single person I've spoken to says the same thing. It just doesn't beat in person.
It ain't the same.
So are more people on because it's online? Like when you're comparing the number of people that are interacting or watching it compared to the number of people that are like at the club, is it more people that are watching your stuff now compared to before, you think?
I would say it's more people now because it's more, number one, it's more frequent.
Yeah, okay.
It's more frequent, but it's more people, but it isn't that much more people because usually with these open mics, it's the same people. You know what I'm saying? Unless you have like a following of people who's going to support you, that's different. But for the most part, at open mics, a lot of times it's usually most of the people in the room are the people performing. That's the vibe usually.
Yeah, I think there's going to be like an explosion of like events and content once all this shit blows by. It's going to be
huge, bro.
Crazy.
is going to be insane, and I think that's just going to be the general. I mean, for any sort of performative or any sort of any sort of thing that requires groups to get together is going to fucking blow up, man. It's going to explode.
Like NBA tickets probably gonna sell out crazy, you know, like all that stuff. Football tickets, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess I read months ago, like none of that stuff is happening until there's a vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. Like,
you know, so, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
The government work employees are going to be forced to take it first, so we could just watch them first.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'll be forced to take it first.
We'll see. I mean, the thing is that it's vaccinations are like one of the reasons why our population has exploded so much, like just in general, when you talk about polio, flu shot, whatever. But this is a unique case where this is pretty much being railroaded, right? So I think a lot of people will be apprehensive to take anything that's been pushed so quickly because, drugs take, years, decades sometimes to get vaccines. And, vaccines could be, it can be all types of things. We'll see. But I think a lot of people are going to be apprehensive. I think once, particularly in America, if they get to a point where the government is like, oh yeah, A-OK, I think people are going to go ape shit regardless. I think people are just going to fucking, off the top rope everywhere, grabbing butts. It's going to be crazy.
We definitely just took it for granted. We definitely always took it for granted,
Being outside?
Yeah.
Being outside, yep.
Yeah, the freedom, like the choice to be like, yo, I want to leave my house today. Or I want to do XYZ today. I don't know. I want to go to a baseball game. I want to go to a bar. I want to do whatever. We definitely all took it for granted. And now look at this. Look at us.
Hey, if we handled it better, we'd be good. South Korea, they're chilling. Like, I mean, Europe and the U.S. didn't handle it the best, particularly the U.S., but like other countries, handle it a lot better, and they're chilling. So
it definitely hit me for my birthday because everybody was like, "Yo, what you doing?" And I was like, "I can't do anything."
Yeah, what can I do?
I can't do anything. Like, hey, yo, you want to go? You want to go? Such I can't do it. So
you should have started. You should have just got a big Among Us game going.
We can only put 10 people in the game.
Well, fuck everyone else then. Have them wait. Have nine of your best friends and let everyone know who's not in the game that they don't matter as much as they thought they did.
Your top 10 friends, MySpace.
So they're not
don't laugh. But what is that? Among Us?
So it's basically a game that's been out for a couple of years, but it's like gained like stupid popularity. It's basically like a murder mystery video game on PC, and like if you go on YouTube, like any large YouTuber, even AOC, she recently did a game of Among Us on Twitch that had like 500,000 concurrent views.
Yeah,
it's just like this real simple murder mystery game. It takes like 2 seconds to learn, and it's basically there's basically like an imposter, imposters whose goal is to like fuck everyone else from completing tasks and shit like that. And then once you see a body, you can report it, and then you get to arguing about who's the imposter, who's not. You accuse people.
It's like Clue.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it's
literally
basically Clue. Yeah.
I should have just said that shit, but yeah. But yeah, literally. I mean, I played it. I downloaded it and I played it for one day, and I was like, man, if this was like 9 people that I knew, it would be fun. But then it was just like I only played it that one day, so it's like when I thought about it, I was like, holy shit, if I had like 9 of my friends and we were all talking shit and accusing each other, this would be fun as fuck. Holy shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Gotcha.
We should do an episode where we live stream that shit. I'll set it up.
No,
That shit would be fucking
honestly,
hilarious.
no lie,
I'm with it.
that would easily be our biggest video. Easy, like we play Among Us. No, like not even lying. Like random ass people would tune into our shit. Like random.
Say no more. Say no more.
Yeah, let's do
I'll
it.
set that shit up.
Yo, that'd be fun. It's fun.
Yo,
Well,
Gavin, I'm curious. You said that you've been reading some books to refine your craft. Like how has your writing process changed, like through COVID or since COVID started and since you started reading those books?
Yeah. So okay. So like when I go back and like read this, I'm like, I'm not embarrassed.
Like this idiot.
But I definitely wrote this while working full time, while in class full time. You know what I'm saying? So
what are excuses?
Sounds like a bunch of excuses. To do.
What are-
it's not bad. It's not bad. But compared to like the lessons that I've learned reading certain books and stuff like that, overall, what I'm trying to do is just be more visual. That's it. The overall, just be more visual. Like with this book, I noticed, and you know, sometimes we have certain patterns we don't even realize. And I noticed this in myself. I noticed in my writing also when I'm, you know, going back and looking at certain pieces that I wrote years ago to put in the book that I'm writing now. There's like a lot of like writing, a lot of like simple. I'm sorry, rhyming. I said writing. A lot of rhyming, a lot of like simple metaphors. You know, like I noticed that I was doing this pattern where it's like the last two lines of my poem would like rhyme, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just kind of feel it's kind of. I just feel like after what I know now, looking back, I'm like, wow, that's really corny. You know? So that's the biggest thing, and people have told me this too. Like other poets have told me, like, yo, bro, you got a lot better. It's a visual. Just you know, when someone's reading my stuff or when I'm reading it, I can like see it like it's a movie.
It's a paint of the picture.
Yeah.
I gotta borrow those books then, bro. I gotta get my poetry out.
No.
Yes, you do.
Speaking of visual, I wonder. I mean, you already, you know, mentioned that, you know, when it comes to like poetry, for the most part, it's just about the content, and then it's like how you deliver it, things of that nature. But is there a visual aspect? Like, do people ever incorporate like costumes or like a certain look, or like do people incorporate that into it?
Yeah, definitely. So, this poetry show that happens every fall is called Poets in Autumn. It's like a Christian. It's like a group of like four like Christian poets. So when they're doing their performance, mind you, they're going from like state to state, and like when they're doing their poetry, it's definitely like with visuals. Like there's definitely like, you know, smoke. There's like smoke, and they have costumes, and like for example, like one thing, the poet that was performing, she had like a video in the back of her like running through a forest, you know, and while she's performing, there's like, you know, definitely like they have like props of like trees on the stage with her, and like it's like she's like in a costume. I guess you can compare it to like a Robin Hood kind of costume.
It's like a play.
There's like smoke coming, so it's definitely, you know, no holds barred. It's definitely, but that's more so like a performing kind of entertaining kind of thing. You know, you wouldn't see that at a slam. At a slam, it's more so come as you are. You create the show from your content, from your tone, from your speed, from how high or low you raise your voice, how your use of hands, all that stuff. So like in a slam, you wouldn't see like a smoke machine.
Yo, could you imagine like you walk in like fucking Ric Flair with the fucking, and then you just do a slam? That'd be hilarious.
The leaves turn autumn and the autumn falls.
So yeah. It all depends on the venue you're performing at, and the type of venue, whether you have props or not.
Oh,
In the slam poetry, are they like writing poems against each other? Like, y'all gonna write some fire lines and kill you in the poem, or it's just like I'm just spitting my poem?
Exactly. Usually, I'm gonna get up there, spit my piece, and you know, the the thing about the slam is like I said, there's no the people judging it. It can be a random. It can be a freaking 8-year-old judging it. You know what I'm saying? Like who doesn't know anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know, 8-year-olds don't know anything, but someone who isn't like versus like someone who's been in slams themselves, they know more so what to expect out for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely when you're slamming, you're not. When I use the battle rap comparison before, I mean it's just a battle like situation. It's like battle rap. If like K Shine is going against DNA, that's like he's doing research on him. He's talking about his family. He's talking about previous battles.
Yeah.
Coming back. You know,
URL poetry. That would be hilarious, bro. Like
that's funny. But yeah, so it's different, you know, because some slam pieces can also just be an open mic piece. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the time limit. Usually like a slam piece, the time limit for that is usually like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So if you have an open mic piece that's 3 minutes and 30 seconds, go for it. You know, sometimes slams would have like a topic, like hey, all the slam poems tonight got to be about politics or Black Lives Matter or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some slams only group pieces. So yeah.
Okay, where do you see yourself within the realm? Like if you're, you know, are you just taking it one day at a time, or do you have sort of a grand vision of where you want to be in, you know, any you know, any amount of time, like in the future, near future, far in the future? Do you have any sort of vision, or do like desirable scenarios come to your head?
I would just love to finish this book and go to different places performing pieces that are in it, you know? And I would just love to like sit down with guys like you or women, guys, women, whoever.
Women like me? Okay.
Like, you know, people like find people like you guys and just like talk about my experiences or talk about, you know, I personally love behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? Or like the making of, you know, I would love to sit and just spit some of these pieces and just talk about what motivated me to write them, or you know, what motivated me to put certain pieces in the book and what didn't. Like that's where I'm at now. That's where I would like to be. As far as slam, I would love to do it one day, but it doesn't take precedent over, you know, what I feel like my goal is, which is just to spread awareness to the Black male experience in America and to, you know, growing up in my neighborhood, which is Jamaica, Queens. And, you know, and just have an opportunity to share the stories of my friends and men/mentors that I've known growing up. You know, I often like a big part of this book too is giving people their flowers but they can still smell it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I know some really amazing people, and who aren't celebrities. You know what I'm saying? Who aren't famous athletes or singers or whatever. But it doesn't take away from like how miraculous they are at all. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like my barber, who has like, you know, 5 kids, but still like, well, my old barber who has like 5 kids, but still is cutting hair and taking care of all of them. You know what I mean? Or, you know, this mechanic that was in my neighborhood who was an addict, who was an amazing human being. You know what I'm saying? And people who don't know him would look at him and judge him, would look at him and, you know, downplay his existence.
Mm-hmm.
But he was an amazing person. You know what I mean? And he was an amazing person. He was polite. He had a brilliant mind. He was just an addict. And that has nothing to do with him being a bad person. He wasn't a bad person at all. You know? He just was an addict. You know, so stuff like that is like what I want to like spread awareness to.
Let's do one right now, son.
Oh,
Pick a poem you want to talk about. Let's go. Let's go.
Close it out.
Oh yeah, it's a slam, bro. Yeah, this is a secret slam. You didn't know that?
Surprise, surprise.
Everybody, make sure y'all mute yourselves when he talks. That way it could sound crispy.
Surprise, surprise. These stars, she says, as I pause.
I'm trying to think if I should read something or just go with something because I haven't. There's a piece that I like that I haven't spit anything from the memory in a long time.
Totally up to you.
Yeah, bro.
Let me see.
Poetry corner. In the autumn, I fall, but sometime I spring and rise like the summer. It's hot.
All right, cool. So I got a piece. I'm gonna read it from my phone. I haven't performed this piece in a minute. So what this piece is about? This piece is pretty much. This piece was inspired because I was watching Netflix, and there was a show on Netflix called "The Movies That Made Us," and these shows were. These movies were like Home Alone, Die Hard, Dirty Dancing. And I was just like, why are these movies called the movies that made us? Where none of these movies are talking about black people or brown people, And it just made me think of like the movies that I grew up on, in that 90s era, the Love Jones, all those 90s, like The Wood, all those 90s like black classic films. And I was like, there's a population out there whose movies, who to them, those are the movies that made us. But to me and people that I know, it's not. So here goes. Netflix has this series, The Movies That Made Us. And on this list are Die Hard, Dirty Dancing, and Home Alone. Now don't get me wrong. These were monumental moments in movie history, but Sister Act told us how to act. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere. Mr. Clark from Lean On Me showed us our black is loud, proud, and vocal. Even our school songs are soulful, like Loyalty, Loyalty. Miss Johnson from Dangerous Minds taught us a loaded mind is more powerful than a loaded weapon. Each new fact arms our voice. Each new idea, another choice. In The Wood, we watched a friendship grow from boys to men, proving real brotherhood never ends. Akila showed us them brown girls be spelling words that most of us ain't ever heard. Freedom Riders showed us a diary brings more sanity than pulling a trigger. And them colored kids conquered calculus in Stand and Deliver. Crooklyn is evidence once upon a time Bed-Stuy belonged to us. Boys in the Hood showed us brown boys tend to go further with fathers. Bishop taught us don't let the juice go to your head. And never be like O-Dog, be the opposite instead. O-Dog was America's nightmare. Young, black, and didn't give a fuck. Contrary to popular belief, Woody Harrelson showed us white men can jump. Brown Sugar asked us when did we fall in love with hip-hop. Maybe it was the first time we heard the Fugees through speakers booming. Blank Man showed us there's something superhuman about being superhuman. Boomerang showed us love is patient, love is kind, love should have brought your ass home last night. And when Monica Wright told Quincy McCall, I'll play you for your heart, we learned love isn't always a slam dunk. Sometimes it's a blindfolded three-point shot standing on one leg, shooting at a crooked rim, and if you miss, sometimes fate is there to say, double or nothing. And when Darius Love Hall dedicated the blues for Nina, we learned spontaneity is necessary. And when Nina said, his dick talked to me, we learned love is poetry. And you are blank loose leaf, waiting to be filled with sensual strokes from this pen until you wait to exhale over and over again. And when Money Making Mitch said, I love the hustle B, we learned there should be passion in how we make our money, preferably legally. And always be aware of who you're learning from and what you're learning for. Training day taught us be mindful of our mentors. And should you need motivation to be great, do it for Ricky, Radio Raheem, G Baby, or Lil Saint. And in your pursuit of happiness, never let someone tell you you can't do something. Hidden Figures showed us Black Girl Magic will literally fly you to the moon and back. And The Help reminded us we is kind, we is smart, we is important. And when Queen asked Slim, can I be your legacy? We learned, make sure how you lived brings a smile when you're only a memory. And if Beale Street could talk, it would lift every voice and sing. And the mayor taught us always do the right thing. So that's that piece. It's called The Movies That Made Us.
Bro, that was so fucking fire, son. Like that shit gave me goosebumps, bro. That was so fire. You just reminded me of mad movies that I completely forgot about.
Oh, you want to know when I gave you a 9.5? You want to know why? Guess. I bet you can't guess.
I can't. Tell me.
It's because you reference Blank Man. Holy shit. What, bro? I haven't seen that movie in fucking years.
So that's the kind of reaction that you know what I'm saying? So if we were like in an open mic and I was doing that, people would be like, oh, like I'm sure y'all would be like, oh.
Like fucking Blank Man. I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
You know?
Yeah, that shit was fire.
Appreciate it.
Damn, man.
Hit the lab.
You teared that up.
Appreciate it, man.
You got more?
Yo,
you got another one? Son, I'll keep listening, bro. This shit is fire.
I definitely do. All right, this one I'm gonna try to go off the head. If I mess up, I'm gonna just find it in my phone. But let me find it in my phone first.
That's 2 edit points, DK.
Okay. All right, so this one is about Kanye West. This one is about this is based on a true story. Background, the College Dropout was the first hip hop album I ever listened to front to back. Ever. I had always, of course, I watched BET and I knew who Jay-Z was, all that stuff like that, but I never like listened to like any of their albums front to back. So this piece is pretty much about my experience or my introduction to hip hop. All right, so bear with me. March 2004, my first high school road trip. I needed music. So I linked Hustle Man Chris. He was in the hall selling bootlegs 2 for $10. But before I begin, a brief history lesson. See, a bootleg was a carbon copy of an artist's artistry, sold on the street illegally, excluding said artist from profit completely. This included, but wasn't limited to, music, movies, clothing, and TV. Now back to our scheduled poetry. I said, Chris, let me get 2 of them things. He said, what do you mean? I said, you know what I mean. We've done this before. He said, I'm joking, bro. Say no more. I said, so what you got for me today? He said, I got that new Kanye. I said, okay. Then he handed me a disc. Labeled with a black Sharpie, it read, The College Dropout. And the moment the first track played, electricity shot from my CD player into my hands, forcing me to let go of what I thought hip-hop was. And for the first time since Thriller, I saw sound in Technicolor. My mind was being renewed. His words ricocheted through my psyche in vibrant colored hues, each sound and sample stitched tight into a tapestry that wrapped around me with alarming urgency, waking up the sleeping wordsmith inside of me. And he had this really unique way of marrying his metaphors to reality, like, the doctor said I had blood clots, but I ain't Jamaican, man. Or, couldn't afford a car, so she named her daughter Alexis. Or, Brain, power, and muscle, like Dame, Puffy, and Russell. Your boy back on his hustle. You know what I've been up to. It was unlike anything I had experienced in life. I thought, this must be what sex is like. I mean, my ears climaxed twice. But he wasn't talking about coke and birds. It was more like spoken word. No, really, JIV was the first time I'd ever heard spoken word. And I quote, and while my words are heard and confined to the ears of the blind, I too dream in color and in rhyme. So I guess I'm one of a kind in a full house, because whenever I open my heart, my soul, or my mouth, a touch of God rains out. And these words rained on me. A 5-hour bus ride became a pilgrimage to a place in my mind I never knew existed. And I learned that day how much rap meant to me. And when I say rap, I mean rhythm and poetry. And on the last track, I listened to your story, from humble beginnings to the beginning of your glory. And I never wanted to make soul beats just like you. I just wanted my words to have power to be impactful. I just wanted my words read the way I heard you, just so soulful. This is not another Kanye West poem comparing the old Ye to who we know today. This is not about how we miss the bars, bravado, the breathtaking flows. This is a handwritten thank you note signed by a generation of creatives who dared to be inspired by a man from Chicago who used his arrogance as a steam to power his dreams. It just so happened this man created an album that reassured a kid from Queens it's okay to be a square and not fit in their circles. And it's okay to share your dreams and have them laugh, because they've yet to realize to dream as a child, you have to go to sleep. To dream as an adult, you have to wake up. And if you find that some days you like words more than people, or you're conversing with yourself more, searching for the perfect metaphor to fit with a phrase as if they were rhythmic puzzle pieces, you are not crazy. You are a poet. Here's to the rock. When they ask me, I tell them. Here's to the rock. When they ask me, what's your favorite album? I still say The College Dropout.
Fire.
It was nostalgic.
You get a 6,300. So I'm giving you a score of 6,300 because it was nostalgic. I'll tell you why. 6,300 is about how many votes Kanye West today got in the state of Kentucky. That's all. That's all.
Yo, you know, he voted for himself when he went to the polls. Wow. Supposedly. That's funny.
Yeah,
that was
you can vote for yourself.
I thought they all do that, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine. But Melania voted for Biden.
I don't remember. I don't. You know what? Honestly, I don't. Because he wasn't on every ballot, only on certain states, right?
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't even register. He didn't register for like most states, but he was on the Kentucky ballot for sure.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna win anyway because he definitely wasn't in my shit. Like, and granted, I wasn't voting for him anyway.
Oh man.
Yo, Gavin, the College Dropout was I bought a bootleg, but it was the first album that I listened to like hard body. Just because it was like high school, right? When I was becoming a little bit more self-aware. Like, yeah, of course I listened to other albums, but that's the one that like really hit me the most, just because it felt like a little bit more relatable, right? Like, even though I grew up around like, I guess, drugs and shit in Washington Heights, it's just like it didn't feel like my reality for the most part. My man, I was on that album mode, yo, like he domed me or something, yo. People were like, yo, chill. But it was fire.
No, it was definitely fire. Like I said, for my introduction, it was just like, you know, that was the first, like I said, the first album I listened to. But also, I've heard, like I said, I listened to rap before, but I hadn't really heard anyone say things the way he said it. You know what I'm saying? Like, mayonnaise color bands, I push Miracle Whips. You know, like hearing stuff like that, it was just like, wow. And you know, and of course the production, and you know what I'm saying. And like I said, I couldn't. Yeah, I grew up in the hood, but I wasn't around guns and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was shit that I could relate to. Like, wow, he's rapping, but he ain't talking about guns and You know what I'm saying? And it was just so refreshing. The album was just so refreshing to me. So
Call Me a Sheep. I was listening to Get Rich or Die Trying. My high school wasn't the best.
Damn, homie, in high school you was the man, homie.
High
What the
school,
fuck happened to you?
it was either Kanye or 50.
that was a fire album too. That was definitely a fire album. But I feel like with that album, they put that whole album on the radio. I feel like because I remember like listening to like Hot 97, you know, in the car and just hearing that whole shit, like that whole album. Like, damn, they just put his whole album on the radio. But that was definitely a classic album too.
Yeah, I was bumping that alongside Kanye. A lot of Eminem.
Oh, Eminem. I was still a bigger Jay-Z fan. But I don't know, man. Gavin, any last words to any inspiring stuff? Like, everybody don't get intimidated about how nasty the spoken gen is as his shit. You know, he's refined his craft over the years. But any last words to our listeners, to any aspiring spoken word gentle people?
Be yourself. That's like the biggest advice I always give like when I'm asked to like give advice, because I'm not even sure if I'm qualified to give advice, but if I am,
Trump gives advice.
You're right. The biggest advice I'd always give is you know, be yourself, yo. Like, I feel like that's how you find your passion, when you're just being yourself, when you're just like it takes some time, you know, but I think life is easier when you're just being yourself. That's when your passion comes. That's when, you know, and that's when, you know, you do things because like you actually want to do it. You actually feel good doing it. Not based off of anyone's opinion, not based off of anyone's liking it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you guys never liked another one of my poems ever again, I would still feel very compelled to write. You know what I mean?
We ain't shit though.
But at the end of the day,
I'm fucking around.
at the end of the day, like, who is shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about it, like who's like Grammys, Oscars, all these things. It's based on opinion. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, be yourself and value your own opinion. That's what I'll say to end. Yeah, be yourself and value your own opinion.
Yeah, I heard it here, yo, and that's the base.
That's the base.